My colleague Afrida Ali joins us for more. Basically, Afrida will take us through how the voting pattern in Manipur has changed, how the loyalty of voters has shifted in these many years, and also the key issues. Afrida, over to you. First, for the benefit of our viewers, if you could help us understand how, the map of Manipur in terms of voting patterns, seat share changed completely in the last decade.
So I'll just request my team to put out the map that we prepared to give a better understanding of what we are looking at when we talk about Manipur, how the political landscape has changed dramatically. Now remember, when we talk about 2012, the colors were very different from what you see here. Here, this is of course 2017. Even here you see, this is by the way, the whole of Manipur that we are talking about, even though today the polling is only in the valley, that is somewhere here. But overall you see, this is the picture, how it has changed from 2012 to 2017. There's a major inroad that the BJP has made into the state. They were nowhere in the picture a decade ago, which is why it is now going to be interesting to see that from 2012 to 2022, how the colors turn. Very quickly, I'll tell you, for the BJP, as you can see here, they got 21 seats out of 60, but still managed to grab power with the help of the local allies. The Congress emerged as the single largest party last time, but of course fell short of the majority mark, and the BJP managed to use its influence over the local parties. This time what has happened is NPP has abandoned the BJP. They are contesting alone. So the relations within the NDA in Manipur is frosty. The NPP and the BJP in many seats, the allies, are contesting against each other. So that is insofar as the parties are concerned. What is also interesting here is that the TMC had a major role to play earlier in the state. Now it's the BJP from 2017 that had completely capitalized on the anti-incumbency vote. That was the picture the last time around. Now, how can it change this time? We'll have to see. But of course, a number of issues that even Nibir was talking about, and I want to show you the issues also here now on the map if possible. Yes, so there you see the key issues. Nibir was talking about unemployment, the youth unemployment at 44% in the state, very high. After Nagaland, Manipur is the state with a very high unemployment rate among the northeastern states. The couple of other issues I want to also talk about, repeal of AFSPA. And if you remember that iconic image of 2004, where women made a nude protest to repeal AFSPA. So that is the kind of women's participation in politics in Manipur. And this issue has continued to remain a major bone of contention for people of Manipur. Because remember, AFSPA gives, the Armed Forces Special Powers Act gives impunity to the army to arrest, to also in many occasions harass local youth if they suspect them of any militant activity. The third issue I'll quickly talk about is the Meitei. Now remember, when it comes to Manipur, the reason there are two-phase elections is because there's the valley and then there is the hill areas. Now interestingly, 90% of the state comes in the hill areas. However, only 10% of the population is there, and 10%, the land area has 90% of the population. So it's like, you can say the valley is the important part of the urban areas, and that is going to polls today. There is a very strong demand for Meitei status. The Meitei occupies the hill areas largely, and therefore their demand is for the ST status, which will help them get jobs. So again, jobs remain one of the fundamental issues. And lastly, the issue of political violence. Even today, there were issues of booth capture, there was firing in the polling stations, and this has happened because some militant offshoots still exist in Manipur. That is one of the primary issues which the ruling dispensation has kind of turned a blind eye to, and that is an issue that has to be addressed, because you see the access to firearms and the kind of open firing that has happened even today is indicative of the fact that these militant offshoots and these groups still exist in Manipur. Back to you.
All right. Thank you, Frida, for helping us understand the developments in Manipur and how the voting pattern has changed over the last decade. Thank you for making time. All right, for another perspective on this crucial story, I'm joined by Kishle Bhattacharya ji, who's professor and executive dean, Jindal School of Journalism and Communication. Mr. Kishle, thank you for making time and speaking to Mirror Now. For the benefit of our national audiences, could you help us understand, what are the key aspects, the key issues that Manipur has kept in mind before voting? There are two phases. We understand that it's an issue of identity, instability, jobs, and AFSPA. But for the benefit of our national audiences, if you could give us some perspective about Manipur elections.
Frankly speaking, I don't think so. The rest of the nation really cares about what's happening on the eastern border. The Manipur or any of its neighbors, they have very little appeal to the rest of India, but it is India's eastern gate. And for the last 4 decades, the country has been trying to develop its Act East agenda, which was called Look East earlier. And it holds the key to India's relations with South Asia and Southeast Asia in terms of trade, commerce, strategic interest, everything. So, while it does not hold much appeal, the elections in Manipur to the people in the rest of the country should realize and recognize that it's an extremely strategic part of the country, and that is the gate basically that should open to Southeast Asia, South Asia, and the Far East. Now, to come to the ground situation there, I think I have covered Manipur for several years. From first went to 1988. I think I finally got 2010, 2011. Now, since that period, what Manipur was and what Manipur is today is a sea of difference. There have been sporadic violence, but it's not the kind of violence that used to happen earlier. And I don't think so I'm going to give that credit to any political party or any governance, really. I think it's just a matter of fatigue and a matter of time. But the thumb rule in many of those states in India's northeast, particularly Manipur, has normally tended to lean towards a party in power at the center. So, a myth or an understanding, if you like, that only the governing party in the state is the same as the center, they believe funds will flow. 4th of January, the Prime Minister Narendra Modi was in Manipur, and he said a twin-engine developmental vehicle is best suited for Manipur, which was to say indirectly that, yeah, I think, you need to vote for BJP so that, the funds keep coming. Otherwise, development will not happen there. And that's how many of the states of the Northeast really vote. AFSPA has always been an issue, but it never really impacted the voting pattern. Just to beg a case in point, Sharmila, who went on a fast against AFSPA for 16 years, joined the democratic process, and she ended up getting only 91 votes from her own people. So I don't think so. Those are going to be really the real drivers for voter participation.
Right.
Very high voting percentage. But I think it's going to be about who is at the center, and if the BJP can swing that way. Only that there are too many candidates they have, and I don't think the voters are very happy with the selection of the candidates. Thanks.
All right. Thank you so much, Professor, for your timing and helping us understand the key challenges, and also expressing your sense of resentment why, Manipur is ignored, whether it's representation or mainstreaming or the narrative around the state. Thank you so much for your time and insights.